LA protests due to ICE immigration raids going on during this weekend turned violent, and Trump personally sends the National Guard going against the wishes of the mayor of California and the mayor of LA, and the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. And in new reporting just being released about an hour ago, about 700 Marines are being mobilized in response to the LA protests. One of the many things when I was starting to look at this, I'm looking at a few things to wrap my head around it. The first thing I was asking myself is, why is the reason ICE was there initially on June 6th? How are they going about catching these undocumented illegal immigrants? Are they sure these targeted arrests that people that they have a suspicion about, or are these wide-ranging sweeps in areas where they think a lot of immigrants could be? How sure are they and how organized this from the beginning when they started this, before the protest, the peaceful and violent protest even started? Now, I'm always reading articles that go on both sides and talk about different things and trying to find the middle. This article from Patch.com, and I won't lie, Patch doesn't seem to be... Well, look up Patch for yourself, but reports of ICE sweeps across Los Angeles are unfounded. Authorities in advocacy countered widely circulated media reports of ICE raids and sweeps targeting LA over the weekend. Now, this says, as of Monday, there were no confirmed reports of workplace raids in the city, nor did ICE issue press releases touting high-profile arrests as they did in other major cities where detentions numbered in the hundreds over the weekend. An ICE spokesman in Los Angeles confirmed to Patch that the agency did not conduct raids or sweep, and instead follows intelligence-driven leads for targeted arrest. Immigrant advocacy groups active in LA have not received reports of ICE raids across the city. My bad, Ella Reader. My bad. Now, this NBC News article paints a little bit of a different picture when it comes to how these raids or how these sweeps how they were done, how ICE went about doing them. Here you can see as federal agents, often wearing camouflage and bulletproof vests with their faces covered, burst into buildings. Protesters and supporters soon showed up, creating tense scenes throughout the city. Witnesses reported tear gas being employed at least one of the locations to clear a path for federal agents to take in their prisoners. Approximately 44 people were administratively arrested, and one person was arrested on an obstruction charge. And this was as of about Saturday, so those numbers could be different now for sure, and I expect that they are. And another thing with this that I was thinking about is the reason of Trump sending in the National Guard against the wishes of the governor, Gavin Newsom, and the mayor, Karen Bass, who both said that this was not needed. And we can see some quotes from him in this ABC 7 article that says, crowds clash with federal agents after dozens detained in ICE raids across LA. And this is a quote from Karen Bass. Frankly, I'm outraged because what happened is that ICE went in and they just took people away. And we just can't have this in our city. And it happened at multiple places in the city, Bass said. It sows a sense of terror throughout the community. ICE was literally chasing people down the street. And she goes on to say, I've been really worried about this from the beginning, and as far as I know, this is the first time this has happened in our city like this. We know ICE has been here, but it's been for targeted arrest. This was just mass chaos, Bass added. It sows a sense of chaos in our city and a sense of terror, and it's just unacceptable. And this is an interesting quote for me because it gets into that thing I was talking about a couple minutes ago, where not only why was ICE there going and doing these mass raids, these sweeps, whatever you want to mention them as in your own opinion, but how are they going about doing it? Are these targeted arrests, or are these just going in and getting people that they believe are undocumented citizens in areas where they are heavily at, or where they think they're heavily at, right? You kind of get the difference in what I'm saying. And another thing that you've probably heard, which makes this even more something to think about, Trump going in and sending the National Guard without or against the governor and mayor's wishes, is the last time that happened was in 1965. And if you do some research, there's actually videos of Trump kind of talking about how that's illegal, or how he doesn't think that's something that a president is able to do in his powers. And hold on a second. This is a TikTok video, and it won't be much longer, but I'm going to cover this throughout the weekend in way more depth, so please go to my YouTube channel at GS Studios. I'll show these videos of Trump talking, videos of Gavin Newsom, and I'll cover this in a lot more depth because it deserves a lot of detail. It's a nuanced story. But the next thing I want to talk about with this is kind of getting into that human aspect and Trump's immigration policy that he ran on versus what he's doing so far in his whole presidency in the second term, going into what's been going on over this weekend and kind of the politics of it. On one hand, I think it's easy to see the videos, some of the, especially the violent videos and protests like this, and say these are a bunch of illegal immigrants and people breaking the law. So once you get caught, you can't try to evade arrest or become violent with it without it expecting to escalate it on one hand with Trump sending in the National Guard and things like that. But I also think if you take a time to look into the context of how this Trump administration has gone about its immigration policy and seemed to be inflammatory, aggressive to criminals and non criminals alike, and focus on entering communities and intimidating non-violent criminals just as much as they're focused on strengthening the border and getting the violent criminals out of the country, which is one of Trump's biggest running points on immigration. I think it's hard to paint this with a broad brush of illegal immigrants and ICE doing a necessary job and a bunch of violent people hurting and violently protesting the city. I'm not saying that I agree with violent protest, but I'm saying the situation deserves more nuance and questions about why Trump is doing the things he's doing and how he's going about trying to fix what he sees as violent protest. If you're in LA and you're seeing this, tell me where I'm right and the wrong in the comments. Let me know what you think. And again, I think when you're telling what you think, it is hard to paint this with a broad brush.